What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode 49 of the Charge to the Top, here with Hereford FC. Here we are in the Sky Bet League 1, and today I've got for you guys a live commentary against Coventry City. Yes, a big game for us indeed. Of course, last episode we took on Millwall. Since then, we've only played a handful of games, 5 games to be precise, but there have been some good little results in here, 4 in the league, 1 in the Checkatrade Trophy, and yeah, so far, so good really. Of course, last time out we played Millwall. It was a pretty convincing result, disappointing not to keep the clean sheet, but alas, we had to move on, and unfortunately for us really, off the back of that 3-1 win, we lost a little bit of momentum. As you can see here, Cambridge United, I want to say they FM'd us. I mean, 4-1 looks like they've dominated the match. When you look at the stats, it becomes a little bit more apparent perhaps that wasn't the case. When you look at the match stats, you know, we had 5 clear-cut chances, we had 3 half chances. It was more so a case of us not taking our chances than Cambridge kind of completely outplaying us. But unfortunately, a 4-1 defeat is what goes down in the history books, and well, we needed to bounce back from that. And as you can see, we really have bounced back from that. In our next 3 league games, we scored 4 goals ourselves. Anyway, the first of these games was against Colchester. Good little result. It was never, I want to say it was never really in doubt. We were actually 1-0 down at half-time, but we fought back well, the team. It was a bit of a back-and-forth game. Chris Owens getting a goal. Very rare to see him get a goal, but he's actually got 2 so far this season, which might actually be his best ever performance. It is indeed the left-back. Prior to this season, only ever scored 1 goal for the club, but he has 2, and they've all come in the last few games. Also good to see, of course, Kevin Kelly getting a hat-trick, a player who, of course, I brought in on loan from Watford. Little bit of perhaps a question mark over him. Was he going to be able to step up to the plate? I think it's fair to say he has stepped up and exceeded the plate. You can see here, he's got 8 goals in 6 games and 2 appearances off the bench. He's been superb for us. He really has been a much improved player, actually, in recent form. And, well, this Colchester game, perhaps a good example of it. Bit of a shame to concede 3 goals, perhaps, but at the same time, a win is a win, and it wasn't too bad a result. Anyway, the next game we had was against AFC Wimbledon. Wasn't particularly comfortable, this one. It was 2-1 until the last 10 minutes. Kevin Kelly grabbing 2 goals. So fair play to him, as I said, on the goal-scoring kind of charts again. James Maddison getting the Man of the Match award. Again, he's been great this year. 8 goals, 3 assists, 7.81 average rating. That's a very high average rating for a player after 11 league games. Can't complain about that at all. And of course, good to win by such a convincing margin. And while speaking of convincing margins, our next game against Newport County, it was 4-0 at half-time. The game was done. Chris Owens picking up the Man of the Match award. Kevin Kelly grabbed a goal and an assist. James Maddison with 2 goals. And Liam Evans making a return to kind of first-team football in terms of we let him play 10 minutes. As you can see, looking at him, still suffering from that broken foot, 7 days to 2 weeks, but I did give him kind of the last 10 minutes just as a little run out for him to test himself out, and well, hopefully he's going to be back and raring to go very, very soon. Anyway, the last game in this run of results was against Chelsea. It was the Checkatrade Trophy, not a tournament that I particularly care about. I rotated the side. It was actually a fairly close game. I feel like 4-0 again kind of flatters them, although I think it'd be fair to say in this game, Chelsea did create the better of the opportunities. You can see here 2 clear-cut chances for either team, 2 half chances for either team, but unfortunately for us, our finishing let us down. So today, it is, of course, a League 1 tie. Today we're going to take on Coventry. Of course, Cambridge we lost to, you can see here, are up to 4th. And Millwall, who we beat obviously very convincingly last time out, they currently sit 2nd in the league. So that's looking fairly promising for us. But you can see, looking at the top of the table, it is still very tight. Of course, our form is looking rather good. But as is Millwall's, they've been on a good little winning run. And you can see Coventry, who are playing today, unbeaten in their last 4. And they've won 3 on the bounce. So they're going to be looking certainly, for a win here. In 5th place, a win here for them could see them move within, well, 2 points of us, which would be a little bit uncomfortable, I guess. A win here could help us extend our lead at the top of the table, but well, so far, so good really. You kind of look at the goals scored. We have the most goals scored. We've scored 29 goals in 11 games. That's a really good kind of goals per game ratio. Unfortunately, our defence, not the greatest. In fact, it's one of the worst in the league, but I've kind of always been of the attitude of if you can outscore opposition teams and get the wins, that's what really matters. And you can see that's kind of what we've been all about this year. Anyway, speaking about team news for today's game, it's a little bit awkward actually because we've got a few players on international duty and also you can see a few injuries as well. Jack Barmby unfortunately picked up strained knee ligaments in training, just turned awkwardly. He's out for 2 months with those, so that has left us with a little bit of a void perhaps to fill out on the left wing, although it'd be fair to say he hadn't been contributing a load when it came to goals and assists early on in the season, so I hope we can adapt without him. Also worth noting, Basala Sambu out with a groin strain. Not ideal, obviously a very good player for us to have on off the bench, got that great explosive pace. can really terrorise opposition teams, but he is missing for today's game and, a few more of the matches coming up. And, these issues, I guess, and with Liam Evans' injury as well, are further compounded by the fact that Mayor Waters, he's on international duty with Ireland, and Kevin Kelly, he's on international duty with Scotland, so we don't actually have a striker as such. As you can see, James Maddison actually going to be our lone forward for today's game. The only other striker I actually have who could play at all is Liam Evans, who, with his broken foot, is not ready to play football. So that's a bit of a pain. Obviously, it's just I guess a perfect storm in terms of the fact that Barmby, who can play up front, is injured. Sambu's injured. Kelly's obviously out on international duty. Liam Evans is injured. We have got Shimanga, but at the same time, he really just isn't good enough for this level, I'm afraid to say, and I don't really want to have to rely on him unless we have to. Obviously, with James Maddison moving into the striker position, it does mean that, a few players get moved around here and there. But anyway, looking at our team as a whole for today's game against Coventry, Rob Elliott in goal has signed that new contract I talked about last episode. That's always good to see. Chris Owens at left back. O'Neill at right back has had a fairly good start to the season. 4 assists for him, 7.1 average rating in the league. Centre backs, we of course go with Harry Lennon, and I am currently at least sticking with Packwood. The United States centre-back has been superb for us this year, the 28-year-old. A 7.2 average rating for him. Of course, a player who I brought in on a free transfer this season, and one of the few players actually we signed over the summer period who has come straight into the first team and had a bit of an impact. Anyway, looking further ahead, Hesketh and Edwards going to be the dynamic duo in the centre of midfield. Romano moves into that centre attacking midfielder spot, that of course being with Maddison moving into the striker position. McLaughlin is going to be out on the left-hand side, the 31-year-old. He's had a fairly good start to his time at the club, a 7.08 average rating across 5 matches, one of which was on off the bench. And out on the right-hand side, we of course have Harry Anderson. So that's the team. You may have also noticed I have currently got McGeehan in on a trial, 26 years old. Looks like he could be a very, very useful centre mid for us. You can see if we just look at his report here, good player for League One, consistent performer, determined player. One of the big issues and one of the big question marks, I guess, over him is the fact his average ratings have been so poor in the Sky Bet League One when he's played in this division. But I want to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. He's still fairly young. He's playing internationally for Northern Ireland, so he clearly has something about him. And I think he could be a very good, nice little addition to our squad. One thing that I do want to just quickly mention before we get into today's game is financial fair play. It wasn't really a factor last year, but this year it has been a factor. So in the Sky Bet League One, you can see here that the requirement is to keep the wage expenditure below £52,000 a week. And you can see our current operation costs are £49,000 a week on wages. Basically, there is a certain amount of your turnover that has to be made up in wages. So for the money that you're receiving, you've got to basically show that you can afford to pay the wages. Now, unfortunately for us, the sales that we've been making don't actually count towards that sum that kind of says, yes, we have good finances. As a result, you can see our wages are really capped at £52,000. Obviously, a stadium expansion would be massive to improve that. A cup run could be useful, maybe in the FA Cup. But it means that our current kind of surplus wage budget to remain within FFP is £3,000. And it's also worth noting that players who are under the age of 21 who are homegrown in England don't count towards this total. So an example of that, in our case at least, if we just look at the wages, is actually Liam Evans counts as being a homegrown player, 20 years old. And if we highlight over, you can see homegrown player. He's under the age of 21, and so his wages don't count towards that cap, but obviously when he gets older, they are going to count towards our caps. That is a little bit of an awkward situation. To be honest, I didn't realise how closely we were straying kind of towards the financial fair play line, and it does mean that for players who are on, in excess of £2,000, the likes of Oliver Anderson, Gustavo Rojas, I kind of need to look to sell them sooner rather than later. In Rojas's case, I have offered him out for a few £1 million. There's been some interest. No one's come in with a bid kind of in line with what I'm hoping to get for him. I've said £5 million. Maybe that's a little ambitious, but at the same time, this guy could definitely fetch a pretty penny for us. And of course, a player who only joined us for £40,000, although worth noting, perhaps he has got a 20% profit sell-on clause to the club we bought him from. But regardless, he could make us some nice little money. But obviously, these players who are sat in the under-23s without work permits kind of eating up our wage kind of spot, I guess, amount that we can afford to offer in line with financial fair play is perhaps a little bit problematic. But anyway, let's get into today's game today. We are taking on Coventry, as I already said. They're doing well. They're in 5th at the moment, so this is a big game for us. In terms of, our remaining games this season, if you actually look at the teams we've already played Millwall, we've already played Birmingham, we've already played Cambridge. We've not played Coventry, Southend or Crewe, but we have played the likes of Fleetwood, who have declined a bit of late, and Colchester. So a lot of these teams that are kind of, in and around the playoff spot, we've kind of played now. The top 4... we've played. So this is one of, the few, what I want to say, should be tough games, I guess, in this division that we have to see out the first half of the season. Of course, it's worth noting that I feel like in League One, any team can beat any other team. And as a result, whilst we are, doing well at the moment, the kind of games which I'm looking at as potentially being easier games, they're going to be anything but that in truth. They're going to be really tricky fixtures for us, and we are going to have to give a performance. But anyway, let's get into today's game. We are, of course, playing away from home here, which perhaps adds to the challenge somewhat. But with our goal-scoring form of late, I'm hoping we can just simply plough through this Coventry City side. Just get the goals that we need, destroy them, score as many as we can. And, well, it's kind of been our game plan. And, well, we've got a set piece to deal with here. Ball not dealt with 100%. A long-range shot. And, well, Maguire drew. What a finish that is by him. Number 19 smashes it in at the second time of asking. Coventry break the deadlock, and well, we have been on a good little run of form, but perhaps the Checker Trade trophy kind of defeat that we had lingering in the back of some players' minds, although that was kind of our reserve team playing that game. But, as good as our form's been there, I feel like there is going to come a point where we might go through a bad run of form, and it's then up to me as the manager as well as the players here at Hereford to really step up to the plate when that kind of situation unfolds. But anyway, that was a nice little effort. Left peg. Can't fault the keeper for that one. No chance of ever getting to that one. The Coventry fans sent into raptures. And, well, you'd have to say it was a very, very good long shot, unfortunately, for us. Looking at the stats as this game's kind of developing now with 20 minutes gone, it's close. And we have got a set piece here. Ball whipped in. Lennon spilled by the keeper. And Harry Anderson is there to tuck it away. First goal of the season for him. We fight back after only 10 minutes after conceding. A set piece that probably should have been dealt with a little bit better there. James Maddison, ball into the box. Does the keeper come to get it? He does. He misses it. He doesn't get a good contact on the punch. And Harry Anderson, it just falls into his feet, and it's just an easy finish for him to tuck away in the end. Through a little bit of a crowded penalty area, but he found a gap in that defence. And, well, 2 goals in the space of 20 minutes. It's a fiery start to this game. I said that maybe we need to try and outscore the opposition. That's how it's looking at the moment. Just seen in the top right there, Colchester currently beating Cambridge City, who are in 4th place. Of course, a team who beat us. So a win here, if that result was to stay as it is, could see us maybe create a little bit of a void, I guess, between ourselves and the teams trailing in the playoff spots. Romero has picked up a stub toe. I probably should take him off. And I guess the only real player I can bring on here is Danny Redmond, of course, the player we brought in just as a bit of a backup kind of left winger / centre mid. He's not had that many opportunities to play. But we're going to give him the nod here. We're going to give him a chance to play. Romano with a stub toe shouldn't be a serious injury, but at the same time, I don't really want to aggravate it if we can avoid it. And Redmond, he's perhaps got a little point to prove here, so hopefully he can give a good performance. Cambridge now 3-0 down as well. I'm going to tell the players I'm not happy with that first team performance. Good reaction overall. Chris Owens looking a little bit sad. Let's just see if we can cheer him up. We can cheer him up. Panic over, everyone. Everyone is happy in the Hereford camp, and now we can get on with the second half. Packwood and Lennon on bookings somewhat concerns me, but I do feel like in this year's Football Manager, centre-backs seem a lot less likely to get kind of second yellows when compared to, say, full-backs and the kind of centre mid on defend duty, or in fact, whoever your defensive centre midfielder happens to be. Anyway, looking at the stats here, Chris Owens not had the greatest game in left-back, and in fact, Hesketh not having a great game either, so we'll make a change there. I'm going to take him off. I'm going to bring in James Murphy, the United Statesman, who we, of course, signed from Sheffield Wednesday a few years ago now. He's proven it to be a very useful squad player for us. And, well, he's going to get a good 25 minutes here, maybe to show us what he's all about. Maddison, set piece. Oh, my gosh. What a free kick that is. Hit with so much power. It's his second goal of the game. It's his 10th goal of the season. Coventry, you'd have to say that it's been a very tight game for them. But this penalty right on the edge of the box looks like it's actually on the line, which should be a penalty. But, well, Maddison, he unleashes an absolute pile driver there into the top corner. Keeper has no chance. I'm just going to switch ourselves to just a little bit more of a defensive setup. We don't need to go too crazy on the attack now. And instead, I'm just going to look for us to, I don't know, hit them on the counter, you know, sit a little bit deeper. We don't need to be too crazy here in attack. I just want us to see out this game now. And, well, 2-1 would be a very, very good result away from home here against Coventry. And I want to see that we hold on to it. So this is what we're going to do, as we are going to have another chance here. Murphy, big ball through. Maddison looking for the hat-trick. Can he find it? Of course he can. We hit them on the break. We hit them on the counter. Murphy picks up the ball, the man who we brought on with 25 minutes left. And he picks out a beautiful pass here. The weight on that is delightful. Maddison, fantastic first touch, coming over his shoulder. One touch to take it down, one to get it out of his feet. A third touch to lash it home. And it's 3-1 here, and that is probably game over here as far as Coventry are concerned. A great performance again today by the boys, away from home against a team who have been very, very impressive this year. Whilst we haven't created a whole host of clear-cut chances, you can see 7 half chances, 10 shots on target. We have been very threatening going forward. And, well, this year we've had a lot of 3-1s, I think it's fair to say. It seems to have been our kind of favouriteist result. I know favouriteist isn't a word, I'm just using it because I'm a nutter. Basically, that's all that can really be said. But yeah, 3-1, it's my favouriteist result, and it looks like we're going to get another one to add to the collection today. It's been a very, very impressive performance. And, well, Maddison, we needed a striker, we didn't have one. We've moved him up into that striker position, perhaps a little bit of food for thought. Could we maybe play James Maddison as a striker more frequently? Maybe. He's put in a great performance there today, certainly. A fantastic shift by him. I thought, actually, Harry Anderson did well as well. And Harry Lennon and Packwood, although they both got bookings, very, very solid performances by the centre-backs there. That is exactly what we needed from them. And, well, our defenders boss of the game. We look very comfortable for large spells of that match. And, well, you can see here, we actually extend our lead at the top to 5 points because Millwall and Birmingham have not played. So that puts some pressure on them. I'm just wondering if those two have to play each other still or not. Let's just have a quick look here. Millwall, looks like they may have already played each other this season. They've got Birmingham on the 18th of December. Did they play them at the start of the season? They did. They actually lost 2-1 Millwall to Birmingham. But regardless, of course, we can only really do what we've done there, which is extend our lead at the top of the table that little bit more. A great result as far as we're concerned. Obviously, gives us a little bit of breathing room. I assume Cambridge lost as well. They did indeed. They almost fought back, but they ended up 3-2 there. So that's a great result as far as we're concerned. Just wondering what other teams around us played. You can see, actually, Colchester, who beat Cambridge. Not far off Cambridge in terms of in the league. They're in 7th. Portsmouth in 5th one. Preston in 8th one. So a few good wins for them. Pompey looking like they could be a team on the rise at the moment. If we just look at their recent form. It's been fairly good as far as they'll be concerned. They've had one defeat really since a really torrid start to the season where they beat Newport County but then were unable to just get a win in their next few games. But yeah, obviously a great result for us there. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this episode as always. If you did, leave a like. Maddison, top goal scorer in the league, highest average rating. Kevin Kelly up there as well for 7.71. Definitely an honourable mention. Obviously Evans coming into full fitness soon, so that's something exciting to look forward to. Hopefully, we can continue to improve, I guess. If we just look at the fixtures which are upcoming, in terms of when we'll be back, we've got Southend in 9th to play. I don't think we're going to do that game, nor the Preston game. I'm actually looking a little further ahead. I'm thinking we might do Oldham or Crewe. I say Oldham because they were a team promoted with us. They actually had a very good start to the season, but they have dropped off as of late. And it's a similar story, actually, with Fleetwood now, who are currently in 14th. Of course, a team who, I think just last episode, were right up there at the top of the table, but have fallen way off the pace. Anyway, I'm not sure what game we'll do when we're back. It'll be a case of kind of play things by ear, see how things are planning out, and go from there. But hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, of course, do leave a like. If you've got any comments, leave them down below. And other than that, thank you so much for watching as always, guys. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.